believe next year and the year after, these are the type of issues that are on the table to be debated, going to a defined benefit. And look, does any employee deserve to have some kind of pension plan? I say yes. I mean, if we don't have something available, and even businesses have 401ks, if we don't have something available for workers and they spend all their money and they don't do anything in their senior years, when they are senior, are they going to rely on the government so much, to find a way to pay for the things that they need? I mean, we need to be responsible here. To just say, oh, we're going to get rid of all pensions and it's going to be a lovely day in this country is wrong. We need to stick up for workers. I know a lot of people that work very hard in the jobs that they have. And to vilify them and say, you know what, you're so bad because your pension's high is not the right way to go. The way to go is to figure out that balance between what the taxpayers can afford and what the workers that are working in the system are doing and being held accountable for that work.
Thank you. Mr. Connolly.
One of the key things you have to think about in life is risk and reward. If you are an entrepreneur and you go out and start a business, you could make a fortune or you could lose everything. If you do well and you make a fortune, you're going to be highly rewarded because you took a lot of risk. If you have a very stable job in the government or something like that, you didn't really take much risk, so your reward should not be as large. You should get something, but it shouldn't be huge. It certainly shouldn't be the kind of reward that ends up putting a larger tax burden on the citizens who you worked for. I think that's something that the government has to understand. When these deals were made, the economy was taken off. Things looked great. Unfortunately, because it was a defined benefit instead of a defined contribution, when the market fell off like it does in cycles as normal, people say, no, we still want that high benefit, as if the market would never stop. At best case, the state made a break-even deal. And this is typical when people who are in government spend money that is not their own. They don't look down the road. They don't look at the cycles of the economy. We need business people in Harrisburg who can do that, to say, wait a minute, yeah, this is great now, the projections are fine, but what happens if there's a downturn? What happens if there's another 9/11 and the economy tanks? We can't keep paying people things that we can no longer justify or have to tax the population to the point where they leave like they're doing now, or the business leave like they're doing now. So we have to renegotiate a lot of these things in the future.
Thank you. Another question from the audience, and that is, we're switching from topic to topic here.
It's your show.
I don't medley of questions here. What is your stand on gun control? Mr. Connolly, would you start on that?
Well, it's going to be a quick answer. I'm a big Second Amendment supporter. I don't believe that lawful citizens owning guns should be regulated. Now, any crime that occurs that involves a gun, you can probably count 10 to 15 laws that are violated. More gun laws are not going to end gun violence. I do not believe, I think we're overregulated with guns right now. I think gun control is something that is a reactionary issue because all the crimes that occur with guns involve breaking gun laws. We have plenty of gun laws in the book now, and I'm not in favor anymore.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Boscola.
Yeah, I am also very big Second Amendment right person. And look, in Harrisburg, it seems like every time we talk about gun control, it seems like it's always being pushed by the Philadelphia delegation. Clearly, in Philadelphia, they have huge issues. But those issues in Philadelphia have to be, they're bigger than somebody owning a gun or legally getting a gun. Most of those guns in Philadelphia and other areas where there's high crime they're not got by somebody that bought it legally. Most of these guns are illegal. So I look at it and I say, look, Philadelphia, what you need to do is crime and the way it evolves is based on economics. You need to bring up the people in your area, give them business opportunities, a job, make them feel good, and have like a middle-class type attitude, and you won't see as much crime. But every time you see a lot of crime, it's always usually poverty-driven. So you have to bring up the poverty level in those areas, and you won't see as much crime. So instead of picking on and saying that we need gun control because some areas of our state have high crime rates, this is the wrong area to go into. And you'll always see me defend the Second Amendment.
Thank you. Where do each of you stand on the question of abortion and on the question of gay marriage? Ms. Boscola, would you like to start on that?
Okay. On abortion, I believe, look, I don't get money from either organizations or supported by either, because this is my take on it. I I believe a woman has a right to choose in the first trimester. I think if you're out there and you're engaged, and you might get pregnant, you know within 3 months, whether you're pregnant or not, you have that opportunity to end that at that time, within 3 months. After that, I just don't think a woman should be allowed to have an abortion after the 3rd month. With that being said, there are a lot of women who have miscarriages in their first trimester. And so that's why you won't see me ever supporting abortion in the first trimester as being illegal. Because I can just see the scenarios out there where she drank too much, he ate too much, she exercised too much, she did all this stuff and lost a baby in the first trimester. It has nothing to do with it. A lot of women lose babies in their first trimester because it's nothing that they've done. So for you to try to outlaw in the first trimester is ridiculous. But after that, I believe that a woman should be responsible for that child that's in their womb. So it's a beating heart. And lastly, on gay marriage, because I didn't answer it, I do want to answer all questions. I believe that there should be allowed to have civil unions with individuals that care for each other. I'm opposed to marriage because it's more of a religious than a state, but as far as civil unions, I have no problem with it.
Thank you. Mr. Connolly, you have an extra 15.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering if I was going to cash in on that one.
I just wanted to answer the...
Well, we appreciate that because we're full disclosure kind of folks up here.
Yeah, there we are.
No, the big thing with abortion, there's a certain concept. It's called choice. But without choice, there can be no morality, right? So the choice is not what do you do when pregnant. The choice is did you willfully engage in an act that can allow you to become pregnant. Once you do that, I believe you have given up the right for the next 9 months of your life. You have chosen to engage in an act that can produce a child. It's simply the way it is. The child in the womb is innocent. And if there is no choice, in other words, if there was rape or incest, I will give you that. I will say if you were not a willing participant, then okay, you did not get to exercise your moral choice, therefore you're off the hook. And that's what 0.1% of unwanted pregnancies. So I'm pro-life from the beginning. I think the child is innocent no matter what. But that's my stand on. As far as gay marriage, I'm not for gay marriage. I believe that civil unions. I believe that the point of gay marriage or civil unions is to give the other person's partner access to life insurance and visitation and all those things. I think that's important. I don't believe that being homosexual is immoral or somehow wrong. I think it's the way you're made from birth, and I support a civil union, but I do not support a marriage. And I'll give Lisa my 15 seconds because I don't need it.
Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Another issue that's hot currently is illegal immigration. And I guess the question is two questions. One is, do you favor greater deportation of illegal aliens or some path to citizenship? And secondly, related to that is, do you support the introduction of national ID cards? Mr. Connolly, would you like to start with that?
Illegal immigration is such an interesting topic. It's in some ways it's a compliment because they want to come here so badly, and they're willing to go through incredible hardships to get here, and they're willing to work for less. But that last point is the problem. They're willing to work for less. People talk about they do jobs Americans don't want to do. Well, yeah, Americans don't want to do a job for $3 an hour. No one should. But when you're an illegal immigrant and you don't have the right or the option to go to the fair hiring practice, people say, hey, this guy's charging me, paying me $3 an hour when he should be paying me at least $7.50. Then you kind of have them. What that does, that whole practice does, it devalues the labor as a commodity, and labor is a commodity. When you take someone illegal and pay them very little for the job they do, you're basically telling all the people who are legitimate citizens, hey, we're going to get this bargain here, and you have to sit around and be unemployed. So with that, I think what we should do as far as deportation, we have to. I don't see any other choice. We have to begin deporting, especially with criminals. Start them first. But most importantly, we have to secure the border.
Thank you.
Oh, can I take my 15 seconds on the ID card? Hey, thanks. As far as the ID card, I think that's a great first step, but it is something that it's got to be. If it's a biotech thing, it's going to be really hard to forge and things like that. I think it's a good first step, and that will take care of a lot of the problem itself. But you're still going to have the underground economy for the people who are going to purposefully look the other way. We need to levy heavy fines on those people who employ and pay illegal aliens.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Connolly. Ms. Boscola.
Yeah, I would be in favor of any bill that would crack down on illegal immigration. Thank you. I talk to a lot of individuals that come into this country legally. And what's the incentive to come in legally if you come in illegally and there's no penalties associated with it? What we need to do is look towards a path to citizenship. For those that have come in, you give them one opportunity to get their citizenship, and if they don't want to and they refuse, then you deport them. So again, once again, there's not a simple solution to any of these issues, but the striking the balance between the rights of an individual and what the state can do, I think is important. So yeah, we can solve this problem. We need to close our borders and shut them off as much as possible. Of course we need to do that. We should not allow any more illegal immigrants in. The only way you can get to them, though, is what I said earlier about jobs, is when you have companies hiring illegal immigrants and they know it, we need to penalize those companies, because then maybe that illegal immigrant is going to get the message. But again, it's the balance.
Good timing there. How do you feel about state legislators who moonlight as consultants, especially when they consult with corporations doing business with the state? Would you support legislation to stop this? Ms. Boscola, would you
Absolutely.
start on this question?
This is a full-time job. I work at it 24/7, and I have no respect for those that are doing outside consulting work. I would support legislation to ban it, and anything. I would sponsor the legislation. And if there isn't a bill in the Senate, because there is called Senate privilege in the Senate, that if somebody already has a bill and can't mirror it, I will look into that and actually introduce that bill.
Thank you. Mr. Connolly.
I would have to say that I agree. I think they get paid enough. There's a reason they get paid $80,000 a year, plus all these person benefits. It should be enough to keep you from doing other things. There's too much potential for a conflict of interest. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, we talked about abortion, gay marriage, gun control. We forgot to ask a question.
What about religion?